Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to the cutting room floor. Today will be our second installment of our artist interviews. Today, joining me is the owner proprietor of Devil's Brain FX, Mr. Bill Blake. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
I know I've been pestering you for quite some time to get you on the show. I appreciate you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
well,
you
that's my
joining
fault.
me. So I just want to get a little general info on you about where you're from, about how old you are, again, kids, just a little bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like you pointed out, I think last time we talked, I'm clearly a Yankee, right? Yeah, New England born. You can hear it in my voice.
Go
Uh,
Patriots.
yeah, I grew up New Hampshire, Massachusetts area. Now I'm living in Pennsylvania. I've been down here though for like 30 years, so this is now home. Married, two kids, one who is about to be a teenager. The other one much younger, but she's still a handful. And I don't know what else you want to know background wise.
What was as far as horror goes? What was your first introduction to horror? I know I've told the story 1,000 times about my older sister would always force me to watch horror movies, and the first time I watched Halloween, I was hooked. So what was that first experience for you?
Very similar. I get two older brothers. One is 6 years older, one is seven. My oldest brother, he and I were both into comic books and stuff like that at a very early age. My middle brother, though, was horror all the way. So when I grew up, I'd kind of share from both of them. On the one hand, I'd be reading comic books, but then my middle brother would be bringing home, I think back then it was Famous Monsters magazine, and then eventually Fangoria. So he was really my introduction to that stuff. Um, he was really the one who got me into watching the movies and really appreciating. And to this day, he's still a horror fan. I think that's where I pretty much got it from.
What was if you were to name a favorite franchise, what would it be?
Probably Halloween, and I know that it's too easy of an answer considering what we do. But you know, every Halloween season, for as long as I can remember, there are certain staples. Always watching Halloween, always watching The Shining, The Exorcist. You know, some of the classics. But Halloween, if you want to talk franchise, really that's the one that pops for me. And I like a lot of horror franchises, but I've always appreciated the Myers ones the most.
Now, given that you are, of course, a maker of the Myers mask, what of all the franchise and all the movies, what is the mask that's your personal favorite, excluding the first one? And for sake of this question, we'll call the sequel mask a separate mask.
Okay. Um, I honestly, and this comes, I'm sure, as no surprise, it's the Halloween 2 mask. I love the Dick Warlock version. Now, when I first got into Halloween, I think like everybody else, it was the first movie. It was all about Nick Castle's mask and the way the original looked. But as years have gone by, I don't know. I tend to like the dirty masks better. There's something that makes them pop, and I see you've got one behind you there on a shelf. Um, I love the H2 mask. I love the worn nature of it, the staining, the hair, the way he wore it. To me, that's the iconic Halloween mask.
And as Bill mentioned, we've got behind us an HTK, which is the hot tub killer.
That's
That of course, this a little background on the sculpt. It started from Chris Vandenkamp, was a retool of the Nick, which was his H1, which everyone knows is still my personal favorite H1 sculpt in the game. What was the conversation with Chris like about acquiring that, and how quick were you to jump on that to acquire that sculpt?
You know, it came about really quick. I was doing conversions already. I had gotten started taking, Trick or Treat Studios masks, and they have some great bases, and rehauling them. So repainting them, rehairing them. I'd gotten really comfortable doing that. And I thought I would really love to do a mask from scratch, not have to worry about these commercial masks. I'm not a big fan of the latex that they're made out of, which they have to be because they're sold internationally. So I was looking around to see what was out there, and I actually had an opportunity to pick up an H4, but I was holding off because I didn't want to jump in with an H4. And probably within days, Chris had posted, and I didn't know Chris at the time, but he had posted up that he was looking to get rid of the Nick and the Dick. And I think Rob had jumped right in on the Nick, but the Dick was still available. It sounds funny saying that. So I grabbed the Dick. Um, I contacted him right away. He said, absolutely, he'd love to sell it to me. So he sold um, the Dick to us, which because of the name, I quickly changed, and he had no issue with that. That quickly became the Hot Tub Killer.
So like you said, I had seen a lot of your work as soon as because of course, everyone knows I have a what is called the Nick is of course now the Haddonfield Hacker, owned by Rob Schumacher, as you mentioned.
Right.
Um, and I had always wanted, as soon as I knew Chris was doing the retool and he was going to do the Dick, and I wanted to have the complete set. And I was like, oh shit, you sold it. So I was like, well, who do you sell it to? I got to have one. And of course, that's how it led to us becoming friends, which I'm very
Yep.
grateful for. Um,
Me
and like you said, you were doing some conversions. I've seen you done some Nemesis. I think I've seen you do an H2SM. I think a Malevolence, a bunch of Trick or Treat Studios, and they were very badass, to
I
say the least.
appreciate that.
Given especially how fresh you are to still doing this.
Yep.
And as you know, and I'm sure as many people, Jimmy Falco, whoever's done a TOTS conversion can to attest to, it's a pain in the ass to strip the paint and to pull off the hair and to do all that.
Yeah.
So I know you're definitely grateful to be able to make your own from scratch. What?
Yes.
Because I already know the answers as I watched you go through the process of doing so. But what was the biggest change, good or bad, about making your own from scratch, pouring the latex, making the molds, buying the hair, all that stuff? That was more than
And,
conversion.
I tell you straight up, it was making the mold because that was new for me. I'd experimented on masks that I had bought for myself over time, so I was starting to get familiar with it before I did it for anybody else. I had never come close to doing anything like making a mold or molding a mask. Now I've got a buddy who runs Devil's Reign FX with me. That's Luke Mulchaney. He's done similar work. He actually runs the Lucannon Armory, which does Star Wars stuff for the 501st Legion. He does Vader stuff. He does Crimson Guard stuff. So he had experience at least on that end. But man, I got to tell you, doing the mold the first time, and you know this because you and I have talked about it so many times, that was a bastard.
I know. I believe the H2K I have was. I think the first mold you made, you'd only gotten 2 pulls out of before you had to scrap it and make another one.
Yeah, that was, and again, it was a learning experience. We did it, but we really weren't sure of what we were doing. I mean, we'd read some and talked to some people. We went ahead and did it, and I think we used Ultra Cal, and it was too wet and too heavy, so it was pulling away, and it was getting pockets. And then what we did is we tried to patch it, but where we patched it, the latex wasn't curing the same as it did from the original mold, so we were having real issues, and that's why yours on the inside, the way it's got sort of that patchiness on the inside, that's a direct result of it. But I think we finally figured it out.
What was the who helped you along the way as far as getting the molding technique down?
Well, there's been a number of guys that have been really good about it. I mean, I talked to Chris Venekamp. He was good. Matt Reed, who, of course, you had him on last time. Matt sold me his fright mask, which we can talk about. He's been excellent. I mean, every time I talk to him, he's such a good guy, and he's always willing to help. Chris Morgan, of course, has been fantastic. He's a good guy, helps me out anytime I have questions. Josh Palmer from Shallow Grave FX, he's been a good guy to bounce stuff off of. So, and of course, I bounce stuff off you when you take it to other people for me as well.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely. And I've said this before, and I've said it. I'll say it 1,000 times. Is you've got your big guys in this game, whether it be Hockey Mask Myers, whatever you produce. There's
Yep.
always those top names that even if you're a noob to the hobby, you got your Nags, your Trick or Treat Studios, etc. Your Crash Creations, your Shallow Grave FX. So I love helping new guys come up, and especially as talented as you are, and the proof is sitting right here behind me. I mean,
I appreciate that, and I tell you that every time. That's my boy right there. I don't even have one on me right now. I've sold all the HTKs until I get some new ones pulled. So you're holding something I don't have.
Which is all the proof that they are amazing. They're flying off the shelf faster than you can make them. So it's great for me, especially being as new to the hobby as I am, to already be able to help someone get a little bit higher and higher. And especially, I mean, you don't need much help. I mean, look at this. This is amazing. Anyone watching, I apologize for the hairstyling. I'm not good at doing it. But you also mentioned that you had acquired the Fright Mask from Matt Reed.
Yes.
I know when he acquired when he created the Death Prowler 75, he had kind of knocked around the idea of keeping the Fright Mask around. So what was it that I guess kind of led him to selling it, and how you came about being the one to purchase it?
Well, let me say first that I saw Matt posted today. He's got his first run of the DP75, which you already own one, of course, but he's
I
got his
got
first one out there.
very proud
Matt,
of that.
there, if you're watching this, man, they look fantastic. It's a great mask.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and again, I didn't know Matt personally at the time, although I got to know him through you. And I think he just decided I'm moving on to the DP75. I don't need this one. I'd like it to go to somebody. And as soon as he posted it, I jumped right on it because I wanted to have an H1 to go along with the HTK. And he, I mean, we worked it out immediately, and he was really good about it.
And the Fright Mask, it does have the direct lineage to the Billy Kirk is a Kirk. And
Right.
a lot of people, when you look at it, and this could just come from a number of reasons, but the features are kind of light on it.
They
So,
don't.
but I think that, and you've proved that this makes a good base because now you have it available in three, / four options: the H1, the H2, the H4, and the Kirk.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I've done it that way, and it works for all of them. I have 3 of them here, which, I'm not trying to self-promote, but just to show what it can do. I've got my H1 version here, if you can see that.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that was, it makes a nice H1. It just needs to be weathered up a little bit. Sorry, that light in the background's washing it out. But so that was really what I envisioned doing it as. But when I first saw the mold, and I don't have it here or I'd show it, it really screamed H4. There was something about it that said, boy, this could really become an H4. So for the hell of it, I took one, and what I did is I knocked down the features a little bit. I softened the lips even more. We muddied up the nose on him a little bit, did the eye cuts the right way, and I think it makes a great H4.
And that's what I was having a discussion with Brandon Zachman about this, and we actually recorded an episode yesterday as of the time of recording this, and we dove a lot into the Fright Mask as it relates to being it's a good starting tool because you can lighten up the already lightened features and make a great H4, which
Right.
the ominous history of the H4 mask. But when you watch the movie, it's almost completely featureless.
Yeah.
No defined cheekbones, no lips. So it makes a great one. I know you're, stewing around the idea of doing some retools in various directions, but then you can go H1. You've done H2 with it. I've seen a Kirk that you've done, and I thought it looked amazing. So
I got it right here.
right there, fantastic. See that just looks amazing to me.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of the issues some artists have is they try to over deepen features. Sometimes they try to make them too prevalent.
I
and,
agree. And I think that takes away from it too.
So
it really, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step over you. It's a fine line between getting the features in and making it look comical. It really is that fine line that you kind of have to dance around.
And I think, especially what you prove in any mask, really, is the features don't have to be super poppy in the mold per se, because you can
Right.
always highlight them with the way you paint it.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. And again, you have to be careful with that too, because it's easy to want to overpaint. I recall getting an H6 from somebody that might have been slightly overpainted. Not by you.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that here in a moment. But I think the Fright Mask has a lot of potential. You could easily retool it. You can strengthen the features and make an even better H1 and H2. And that H4 is just a slight up twist on the nose from
Right.
being the best, because the game's pretty short right now on good H4s. AHG, of course, just kind of does
Yeah.
them here and there, throws them up on eBay, and we've got the Malevolence and some nags out there, but I think yours really captures it. And you've been putting, anyone who hasn't looked, check out Bill's page, because he's been putting out side by sides of the Hero versus the Fright Mask H4, and it's uncanny the similarities.
I appreciate that. And the picture that I posted it with was really the look I was going for. I wanted that bedroom scene, very beginning of the movie look. That's what I was looking at when I did this one. And that's not a retool. I literally just took a blank that we pulled, a Fright Mask blank, and I sanded down the proper eyebrow and redid it, as you know, 2 or 3 times before we were happy with it, and just sanded down the lips a little. So that wasn't from a retool. That's the actual Fright Mask itself. But
And that's as a Kirk as it sits, so it's got the potential to get even better.
I will tell you right now, though, I haven't laid eyes on it yet. We poured the clay into the silicone mold, and it should be cooled by now. So sitting in the basement at the shop, we should have a clay press of the face mask. I mean, of the fright mask ready to attack.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. As you know, I'm definitely going to get one of those H4s off of you. You had spoken about a Todd's H6 that some devilishly handsome bastard sent you. That was overcome in pain.
Who's been patiently waiting for it as well.
Oh, no, it's no rush. Trust me, in this game, when you got some people with a 4-year wait time, a month or two is nothing. But, you know, as we know, that mask I'd sent you was it was overpainted by someone who was attempting to kind of do a rehaul. And if anyone who hasn't seen it, you've been posting, you know, step by step, you know, as you're doing it. And I think that H6 is coming out better than I don't think anyone could have expected. I know Chris Morgan's been praising. Anyone who's seen it's been praising because it's just fantastic. Chris, the line Chris actually gave me was, if he didn't know it was a TOTS, he wouldn't know it was a TOTS.
And that's high praise because, as far as I'm concerned, he's the master of the H6. I mean, the ones he puts out are incredible. I didn't use the Hero, and you know this, but when I was looking for a good picture to sort of emulate, I didn't go with the Hero. I was using one of Chris's 6s. It's my first one. It's the first 6 I've done, but I'm really happy with it so far.
Oh, yeah, it came out fantastic. And I think the only problem with you doing that 6 is now people know you can pretty much make anything.
Yeah, well, see, I'm finishing up my first 5 as we speak. So, but that's actually a little easier than the 6s.
Because I know you would rehaul a Trick or Treat Studios Resurrection in the past. I don't remember if you've ever done an H2O, but I'm sure you could.
No, because you know what? Early on, I got a Morningside Studios H2O, and I never felt inspired to do another one because I love it. I'll attack one sometime, but as of now, H2O is the only one I haven't put hands on as far as retooling one.
So anyone can take a look at your catalog of work and see you've already attacked 60% of the masks, you know, and especially with all these Trick or Treat Studios being released this year, I can already hear people beating your door down to get some H4s and H5s overhauled.
Yeah, maybe the new H78 that they're putting out.
Which, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it looks pretty good, but I think it's a bit large. It's looking a bit on the large side, which, as we know, the original 75 Kirk was not a big mask.
No, but if you remember the first TOTS mask that they put out, the original H2, that thing was gigantic.
And for a guy like me with a small head, you know, the HTK is not gigantic. It fits me great. But like the Trick or Treat Studios H2, it fits big, which is one thing I like about the TOTS H6. It fits me pretty good. It's not an overly sized mask.
No, the 6 is good. The original, I bought the original H2 back in 2012, which I think is when it dropped, and I look like a bobblehead wearing it. It was, you know, no fault to them, but with my pin head, it just didn't work.
So, you know, as of right now, we've got the HTK, we've got the Fright Mask. Are there any new projects you're eyeing up or considering in the future?
You know, I got my eyes open to just about anything. I'd really thought about getting in on the H4, but honestly, I love the way the Fright Mask converts to a 4, so I don't think I have any interest in that. I got to tell you, doing the 6 has really sparked my interest. So next to doing the H2, I really like doing the 6, but we'll see. I mean, my eyes are open. I pay attention to what's out there, and I don't know. Right now, I'm going to focus on the ones I have because I haven't produced enough of them. I really got to get them out there, and then we'll see what develops.
Oh, yeah, and speaking of which, if anyone wants to check out where you can get one of these glorious masks or a Fright Mask of any of its varieties, you can check out Bill Blake's Facebook page. You can check him out on Devil's Reign FX. He's also a big participant in the Horror Forever group.
Yes.
So check him out on all those places. Devil's Reign FX also has an Instagram you can check out, which the handle is
Devil's Reign FX. I use it for everything.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to say to the viewers before we head out, Bill?
You know, just that I appreciate it. I jumped into this almost accidentally. You know, I was rehauling for myself, and people seemed to like what I was doing. And guys like Will Robbins, you know, I got to throw a shout out to him because he's bought probably half the stuff I produced. In fact, I just mailed one off. I mailed one off to him today. So I just want to thank everybody for, you know, taking the time to be appreciative of what I do. And I really try and keep my standards up and my prices low. And contact me anytime. You know, I'm happy to. I'll rehaul anything, or, you know, we've got the HTK or the Fright Mask. And to you, Dylan, I really appreciate everything you've done to help me out in the hobby.
Oh, it's no problem. I appreciate you coming on the show, and definitely look forward to all the things you do in the future.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Have me on anytime. I'm looking forward to hearing the one you and Brandon did the other day.
Oh, yes, sir. So, for anyone watching, you can check out the Cutting Room Floor. This will go up as an audio version under the Halloween Unleashed banner. Shout out to Chris Morgan. Check out the Instagram at the Cutting Room Floor DC, where you can see also the hockey masks I'm producing, and check out the Horror Forever Facebook group, where you can find me as an admin as well as Brendan Zachman, Matt Reed. You'll see Bill Blake posting all his amazing stuff in there. And until then, we're going to leave it here on the Cutting Room Floor.